All right, so our next unit is solving systems of equations. Before we get into the actual solving part, though, we've got to go over how to change equations that are in standard form and put them into slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is the form that we've been using. It's what you're used to. It's the y equals mx plus b form, the one we use to graph equations. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is what's the difference between if you have an equation and it's in standard form or it's in slope-intercept form. So standard form would be like 4x plus 2y equals 8. It's when you've got your x and your y on the same side, so they're on the same side, and the a, b, or c, which is the numbers, could be any numbers. The main thing is standard form is when you have the x and y on the same side. So if you had 4x plus 2y equals 8 and you wanted to graph it, that would be harder because you can't just look at it and find the slope. You can't just look at it and find the y-intercept. All right, so you would have to be able to take it from standard form and change it to slope-intercept form. All right, and that's the first thing we're going to talk about. So if you have 4x plus 2y equals 8, slope-intercept form, this would change to y equals negative 2x plus 4. Then you could graph it. You can look at this and you can go, all right, my y-intercept is 4. So if I have a graph, I need to put a dot at 4 on the y-axis. The slope is negative 2, so then the graph's going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. You can graph that. And then part of solving equations, which is what this unit is, you are going to have to graph it. So in order to graph it, you're going to need to change it from standard form to slope-intercept form. So today's notes are going to be pretty easy, pretty quick. All we're going over is how do I change it from, if I have an equation in standard form, how do I change it to slope-intercept form? And there's only two steps. First step, move the x term by doing the opposite. So we don't want the x over here. If I have an equation in slope-intercept form, we want the y by itself. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of this x. So this whole term needs to move to the other side. And you're going to move it by doing the opposite. So if this is a positive number, you're going to subtract it to the other side. If it's a negative number, you're going to add it to the other side. So I've got positive 4x, so I would minus 4x from both sides. And then I'll just do it on here so we can kind of look at it and see. I don't like this green background, so let's just go right here. All right, so we have 4x plus 2y equals 8. So the first step said get rid of your x, move your x term. All right, the term is the whole thing. It's the 4 and the x. So since it's a positive, we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. And then this is gone. So I've got 2y equals, can I combine an 8 and a minus 4x? No, they're not like terms. So all you do here is put them next to each other, and you want the x in the front. So put the minus 4x in the front. So we just have minus 4x, and it's a positive 8, so plus 8. All right, so that's the first step. First step is really you just take whatever's over here, and you're moving it, and you're putting it right after the equal sign. And when you do that, when you move it to the other side, basically what that's going to do is it's going to change its sign. If it's positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. All right, so that's step one. We took the 4x, we moved it to the other side, so now it's negative 4x. Step two, like you see here, says divide everything by the coefficient of the y. So that's the number in front of the y. So what's in front of the y? It's a 2, so we're going to divide everything in the equation by that number. So if we look over here, we have a 2, so we're going to divide everything by that 2. All right, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's gone. So we have just y, which is what we want. We just want y by itself over there. So y equals negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And now it's in slope-intercept form. So that's all we're going to be doing. Take the x term, move it to the other side. When you move it, it changes the sign. And then divide everything by whatever is in front of the y. All right, so the easiest way, really, you don't even have to write this part down to look at it like that. The easiest way probably to look at it is to just say that is just to write this part down here. Step 1, we took the 4x, moved it over there, changed the sign, divide by whatever's in front of the y. So let's look at, if you need to, go back, rewind the video, pause it, write that down so you've got that example. Make sure you've absolutely wrote down these 2 steps because you're going to need those for your assignment. We're only going to spend 1 day doing this, so you're going to watch the notes today, and then your assignment tomorrow is going to be an IXL over this right here, going back and forth, standard to slope, change standard to slope, change standard to slope. And then the next day we'll be able to actually start doing the solving systems of equations. So right now this is like pre-knowledge. We got to make sure we know this in order to do it. So, example, convert the equation from standard form to slope-intercept form. I've got 2x plus 3y equals 12. I need to change it. So what's the first step? The first step was to move your x term. So my x term is a positive 2x. So if I move a positive 2x, what am I going to do? I'm going to subtract the x term. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So now I just have 3y equals negative 2x plus 12. Like I said, you just take this, put it after the equal sign, and change the sign, which is what happened. So we have 3y equals negative 2x, and then the positive 12 is just plus 12. And then step 2, divide everything by the coefficient of the y. What's in front of the y? There's a 3 there, so I divide everything by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Negative 2 divided by 3 gives us a decimal. We don't want a decimal, so we just leave it as negative 2/3. And then 12 divided by 3 is 4. So that's all you do. So all we're working on is going from standard form to slope-intercept form. All right. Let's look at another one. All right. Step 1, get rid of, we want to move the x, so we're going to have to subtract it because it's a positive 2x again. So subtract it, which is all it's going to do really is take the 2x, put it after the equal sign, and it's negative. So now what negative y, when this is gone, most common mistake on this problem would be students forgetting there was a minus sign here. Make sure you bring that down. So now divide everything by the coefficient in front of y. Well, what's in front of y? You don't see a number. If you don't see a number, that's because it's a 1. So it's a negative 1. So we're dividing everything by negative 1. Negative and a negative make a positive 1. A negative 2 and a negative 1. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 divided by 1 is 2. Negative and negative make a positive. 4 divided by 1 is 4. So there's your answer. 2 steps, all you've got to do. All right. Let's look at another one. All right. So what do I need to do? I've got to move the x term. So well, let's go ahead and pull it up here. So 4x minus 5y equals 10. So I'm going to take the 4x, move it after the equal sign, and change the sign. So I've got negative 5y equals, the 4x becomes a negative 4x because we moved it to the other side of the equal sign, plus 10. Step 2, divide everything by what's in front of the y. So negative 5, negative 5. negative 5. Negative and negative make a positive. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So all I have is y. Negative and negative make a positive. 4 divided by 5 is a decimal. We don't want that, so we just leave it 4 over 5x. Positive and a negative make a negative. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So there's our equation. And then the next thing we're going to have to do is be able to graph that here in a couple days. So then we've already gone over how to graph those. You would look at it and you would say, all right, well, the slope, what's in front of the x? 4/5. What's the y-intercept? What's the number in the back by itself? Minus 2, and then you could graph it. All right, so that's a review of something we've done before. All right, 5x plus 2y equals 12. So 5x plus 2y equals 12. So we want to move the 5x, put it after the equal sign, and change the sign. So what's left over here? 2y equals 5x becomes negative 5x plus 12. Divide by anything in front of the y. So 2, 2, 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's just y. Would be 1y, but we don't write 1y, so we'll just leave it as y. Negative and a positive make a negative. 5 divided by 2 is a decimal. We don't want that, so let's leave it as 5 over 2. X. Positive and a positive is a positive. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there's your equation. All right. We'll do one more and that's it, because this is easy, pretty simple. It's all you're doing. As long as you follow the 2 steps, all you're going to do on your assignment is they're just going to give you, there you go, they're just going to give you an equation. So negative 3x plus, so let's switch this. Let's make this negative 6x plus 3y equals 15. And then change it from standard form to slope-intercept form. So go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause the video, try it on your own, see how you do. If you pause the video and then did it on your own, which hopefully you did, although I'm sure a lot of you probably are just watching it and not actually doing it, which is disappointing. But if you did solve it on your own, let's see if you got the right answer. You would look at it and you would say, all right, I've got a negative 6x. I need to move that, put it after the equal sign, and then move it to the other side. So it was a negative 6x. So if I move it, the sign changes. So first off, what's left over here? We have 3y equals the negative 6x moves, it becomes a positive 6x. And then you still have a positive 15, so plus 15. All right. What if this would have been equals negative 15 up there? Well, then down here, you would have put minus 15. All right, but we can do another one of those here in a minute. All right, so we've got plus 15, and then you want to divide everything by what's in front of the y. So divide everything by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we just have y equals 6 divided by 3 is 2, 2x, and then plus 15 divided by 3 is 5. So then you would graph this. How do you graph it? Well, you label. What's my slope? Your slope is 2. So how's your slope going to move? It's going to be 2 over 1. And then what's your b? What's your y-intercept? It would cross at 5, which is what we've learned in a couple units ago when we were graphing. So Let's do one more, and I'll remind you of that last part in the next video notes before we get ready to do the graphing. The main thing right now is that if I give you negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 16, can you change this into slope-intercept form? I'm just doing this one because it has all negatives, just to try and switch you up a little bit. See if you'll forget the negatives, make any mistakes. So if we were going to solve this one, and this one will be the last one, we'll do another. I went ahead and changed that just because I want you to see one with all negatives. So, didn't mean to hit that button. There we go. All right, so we look at this and we go, I need to move this to after the equal sign. So then what's left over here? We have a minus 2y, so I've got negative 2y equals. If I move a negative 4x to the other side, it magically switches its sign. So instead of being negative 4x, it becomes positive 4x. And then I've got a negative 16, so it's just minus 16. All right, so this stayed exactly the same. This stayed exactly the same. The only difference is we took this, we changed its sign, and we put it after the equal sign. And then we divide everything by whatever's in front of the y. What's in front of the y? Negative 2. Negative 2. Negative 2. Big common mistake. Students try and do this all in their head, and they forget to make the negative go at each spot. I'm telling you, you'll get done a lot faster if you just get out paper and write it down. It's not a lot to write down. You can see each one of these problems. It's only 1-2 lines, and you're done. So much easier. You'll get done so much faster if you do that. So negative and a negative, make a positive. 2 divided by 2 is 1. All I have is y. Positive 4, a negative 2. Positive and a negative make a negative. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So y equals negative 2x. A negative and a negative make a positive. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So y equals negative 2x plus 8. This is the same as this. They're just in different forms. This is standard form, which you'll use some in high school, but we don't use it really in 8th grade. That's why we change it to slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form, y equals negative 2x plus 8. All right. If you have questions, come to the Google Meets. I'll have 2 Google Meets. We have 2 Google Meets every day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. They're worth extra credit points. So come, get your extra credit, get some help. If you want to go through the problems together, we can. If you want to just check your answers and see if you are right, we can do that. If you want some more examples, we can do those. If you have any questions, that's when you let me know, or you can just email me and I can help you that way. So if you need help, let me know. Other than that, great job.